Myself and the other organizers, we want to welcome you for being here. On behalf, I'll mention some of the organizations. It's a long list of organizations that are endorsing and supporting this solidarity action, but I'll name just some of them. The Network for Pan-African Solidarity. Let's give it up for the Network for Pan-African Solidarity. We also have the Ontario Federation of Labour, and we're waiting for President Sid Ryan to be here soon to give a message of solidarity. There's also Nancy Hutchinson, Secretary Treasurer of OFL. We're happy that the OFL is here with us today. We have support from QP Ontario, myself and Ajamu and Farid and many other people that helped, and Daveson and many other people that helped organize this rally. We're all members of QP Ontario and know that it's important for our labor movement to struggle not only locally but internationally, and this is a concrete example of that. Also want to thank the Somali Canadian Diaspora Alliance, the International Alliance in Support of Workers in Iran, the Group for Research and Initiatives for the Liberation of Africa, GRILA, the Council in Support of People's Struggles in Iran, Latin American Trade Unionists Coalition Ontario, Latin American Caribbean Solidarity Network, Labor for Palestine, Asian Canadian Labor Alliance, and many other organizations. Consulate General of South Africa, but everything that's said here today and all the solidarity messages, we are speaking to the people in South Africa, and particularly the mine workers and their families who suffered so greatly recently with this atrocity and this massacre. So first of all, we'd like to express our heartfelt condolences to the families of the mine workers, their friends, and their comrades. More than 34 workers and I think more than 40 people in total were killed in the massacre for this loss. But more than a loss, we know that these workers gave up their lives, sacrificing themselves in the struggle for improving their workers' conditions, for combating exploitation, particularly in the South African mining industry, and fighting the exploitation of transnational corporations, in this case the UK Lomond mine, which is the one that owns the platinum mine in South Africa where the massacre took place. Amandla, power to the people. And we want to call up our first speaker, one of the organizers of the rally, and it's Ajamu Mangwaya. He's with the Network for Pan-African Solidarity, just to get some opening remarks. Let's give it up for Ajamu.
Whenever we see an attack against one group of workers, we will always take it as an attack on the class worldwide. And it's for that reason why we're out here today expressing our solidarity, expressing our outrage, and expressing our commitment, not just to show up here today, but to find a way to maintain solidarity with the working class in that country. We're all, those of us who have been around since the 70s and the 80s in Toronto and who participated in the anti-apartheid movement, are revolted by the images that we saw on the television, by the killing of these workers. Many of the African workers, African majority, thought that with the advent of majority rule, it would have meant a different type of relationship between the workers and between the state in South Africa. Today, through the actions that we've seen since 1994 to today, it's very clear that what we're seeing is a neo-apartheid state that still maintains capitalist economic relations and are willing to use force to maintain the economic and the political and social status quo in South Africa. And for that, we as international solidarity activists, as people of good conscience, will say no to that type of relationship, and we will experience neoliberal capitalism here. We experience what it is to have, the exploitation of our labor. We know what it is for the state to cut back on social programs. Those things are going on in South Africa today, and they experience similar thing. They experience capitalist exploitation. We experience the same thing here in Canada. So we have no other response or option but to support the struggling people here, and we'll continue to support them and say, down with capitalism, down with white supremacy, and down with all forms of exploitation. Sisters and brothers, I'm glad to see you out here today, and we will continue this struggle beyond today. Thank you.
That Labour is on the ropes. How did that happen, my friends? I'll tell you how it happened. It happened because we didn't hit the streets when we had the opportunity to hit the streets. We didn't go after these bastards, and I use that word not very often. Appropriate that we start to name what we're faced with here. So my friends, we have opportunities coming up in this country. You've got Tim Hudak, for example, who's saying that we're going to take away the basic rights of every single worker in this province. We're going to get rid of the RAND formula. What they're really saying, my friends, is exactly what Margaret Thatcher said to the miners in the UK and what Ronald Reagan said to the air flight attendants down in the United States. They basically killed the ability to raise money. They killed the ability to be able to mount political campaigns against the employers and against government. And that's the fight that we're coming to, my friends, here today. We are coming to the situation where workers better hit the streets. Because if we don't, we are going to lose every single gain that we've made over the last 150 years of trade unionism. And that's the fight and the struggle we've got. And that's why it's so important that we stand in solidarity with the miners in South Africa. But at the end of the day, there's one thing we have to say. I don't know why they're not living up to this Constitution of South Africa, because it talks about the nationalisation of key industries. And that has not happened. And had that happened, my friends, we wouldn't have seen the massacre. We wouldn't have seen the bosses from London make the orders and say to workers, get back to work or you're going to lose your jobs, and then call in the state to murder miners in South Africa. That, my friends, was a big mistake of the ANC. They should have nationalised that industry. And that's a lesson for all of us, even in this country. Thank you very much for coming out here today to show your condolences.
Let's give it up for Sid Ryan and the Ontario Federation of Labour that's standing with us here today.
There's three organizations that I'm working that endorse this event, and because of the number of speakers, we decided to have only one speaker. So I'm going to be speaking on behalf of my local, QP Local 4772, endorse the rally, as well as International Alliance in support of workers in Iran, and Council in support of people in the struggle in Iran, Toronto branch. And then also there's a couple of announcements on behalf of organizers. It is very clear to us and to all workers around the world that not just police or the South African state, but also London and all corporations and the inhuman capitalist system of exploitation are directly responsible for killing marijuana striking workers. If there were any doubts in the past, as workers in any part of the world, we could rely on neoliberal pro-capital governments for our rights and for the creation of a better world, we have been sadly mistaken. Marijuana massacre shattered all remaining illusions. Unfortunately, from Iran to Egypt and Tunisia to South Africa, our revolutions and struggles have not achieved economic and social justice for workers and masses. Therefore, our worldwide struggle against the capitalist system, corporations, and their government must continue. International Alliance in support of workers in Iran and Council in support of people's struggle in Iran stand in solidarity with marijuana mine workers and consider policy of massacre of striking workers a criminal act against South African workers and the international working class as a whole. While we express our deepest condolences and sympathies with victimized workers and their families and with South African workers, we also urge unity and solidarity of South African working class against capitalists, their repressive and exploitative war order, the root causes of all of these miseries, which is the capitalist system and their states. Justice for South African miners, long live workers, international solidarity.
Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people won't stop. Ain't no power like the power of the people, the power of the people.
The people united. The workers united. The workers united. The workers united. The people united. The people united. The workers united. It's about some life enough. The workers united. The workers united. How do we demonstrate it? Organization is. Class struggle is. Class struggle is. We're just gonna Let's pull up the area. Sisters and brothers, when we say that class struggle is the weapon of the oppressed, we in the rank and file of the labor movement, we have a different understanding than the top, the people at the top. Some people are mystified by the fact that feeling of revolution is during the Great Recession and its aftermath. But the same people that are saying that we can fight the bosses in their own unions, they do not foster class consciousness through their labor education program. So when we hear them talk of workers to make advances, class struggle is, we need it as a different thing from the bosses at the top of the labor food chain. So we have to fight for QP support from below. We have to organize to challenge the people who are running our labor movement. Because sisters and brothers, as a trade unionist and as an oppositional person within the labor movement, if we examine the labor education courses, the bosses would have written these courses. So we have to hold these people who are coming to us and talking about let's fight capitalism, let's make, let's challenge the bosses. But we also challenge based on ideas, the right revolutionary ideas.